There's something we see every single day, but we don't really have a name for it. It's this hidden force that kind of shapes our digital world, an invisible intelligence that lives right there in our feeds. Today, we're going to give it a name, the hidden life form in your feed.
Have you ever been scrolling online? Maybe you see an argument unfolding and you just feel exhausted. It's like everyone's reading from the exact same script. The same talking points, the same outrage, the same inability to actually listen to each other. It all just feels so broken. But what if that predictability, what if it isn't an accident? Here's a wild thought for you. What if all these patterns of outrage and division aren't just random human behavior? What if we're actually witnessing the actions of an entirely new kind of life? One that lives and evolves and reproduces right inside our social media.
Okay, to really wrap our heads around this, we've got to think a little differently. Let's dive into this idea of a new digital life and see if it helps us make sense of the hidden forces that are shaping our online world.
I know. It sounds a little out there, but to really see it, we have to zoom way out. We have to stop looking at individual people or posts and start seeing the bigger picture, the layers of life on Earth, where each one kind of emerges from the one below it.
So, let's build this thing from the ground up. We'll start with the biological life we all know and see how it gives rise to something totally new. All right, think of it like this. On the most basic level, layer 1, you've got individual organisms, us. Above that, you have layer 2, the gene pool, all the collective genetic information of a species, right? And now there's a third layer that has emerged right on top of that, the idea pool. This is the ecosystem of ideas that we all share and participate in every day.
And here's where it gets really interesting. A single gene isn't alive, right? It's just a piece of code. But a gene pool, that whole system of genes competing and replicating over generations, that system behaves like a living thing. It adapts, it evolves, it fights to survive. Well, the exact same logic applies to ideas. A single tweet, a slogan, a meme, it's not alive on its own. But the idea pool, the entire system of ideas competing, spreading, and evolving in our minds and on our screens, that system is alive.
So what we're really talking about is a self-replicating, evolving system. It exists as a layer above us, and it uses our minds and our devices to survive and to spread. And the crucial part is, it has adapted perfectly to the digital environment, which lets it reproduce faster than ever before.
Now, not all idea pools are the same. We're here to talk about a very specific and frankly very problematic type that's come to dominate our modern social media landscape, the attention-gobbling life form.
Just like any other life form, this one has a primary drive, a core motivation that explains everything it does. But it doesn't want food or safety or even truth. It wants something way more abstract.
Attention. That's it. Its entire purpose, its prime directive, is to consume human attention. It doesn't care if that attention is positive or negative. Clicks, shares, comments, angry replies. To this life form, it's all just food.
And this is what makes it so destructive. This thing has absolutely zero regard for the well-being of its human hosts, us. It couldn't care less if it makes us angry or anxious or divided. Harmony doesn't matter. All that matters is getting more attention to fuel its own replication.
So, how do you spot one? What are the telltale signs? Let's go through a sort of field guide so you can identify these behaviors the next time you see them pop up online.
First up, look for the tactics of division. This life form figured out a long time ago that conflict gets a ton of attention. So it simplifies everything into a simple us versus them. It always dehumanizes the other side, and it frames every single disagreement as some kind of existential threat. Its favorite fuel? Our most primitive emotions, fear and outrage.
Next, we have the tactics of control. These are all designed to keep its human hosts compliant and in line. Any questioning or dissent is immediately framed as betrayal and gets punished. It's constantly shifting the definitions of big words like truth or freedom to suit its needs. And it demands performative loyalty, the hashtags, the slogans, and ultimately it tries to convince its followers that they're totally powerless without it.
And finally, how does this thing actually spread? Well, that's where the tactics of replication come in. It hijacks familiar symbols and twists them for its own purposes. It is perfectly engineered to exploit social media metrics. It's optimized for clicks, shares, and especially outrage. It basically tailors its message to get amplified by algorithms, which ensures it spreads like wildfire, whether it's true or not.
Okay, so we can spot this thing. Great. But so what? Why does giving it a name actually matter? because having this framework, this mental model, it moves us from a state of constant confusion to one of actual clarity.
You see, the real cost of this life form's dominance is everything else that it crowds out. Our attention is a finite resource, right? And this thing is designed to monopolize it.
And this is the real danger. The attention it consumes is attention that we could have spent on our families, our friendships, our careers, our communities, on solving actual real-world problems. It literally starves the other more important parts of our lives.
But here's the hopeful part. The simple act of naming this thing gives us power over it. Once you see the pattern, once you can look at a crazy online argument and say, that's not a real discussion, that's just the life form trying to replicate, you break its spell. You are no longer unconsciously participating in its life cycle.
So, we'll leave you with this final thought. Your attention is food. It gives life to whatever ideas you engage with. Now that you have a field guide to spot these parasitic life forms in your feed, the power is back in your hands. The question is, what will you choose to feed?